see a ton of use cases and a ton of different teams and business units within the platform. And each of these really want to be able to customize to their specific needs. When we think about customizing toward these enterprise needs, toward these specific business units needs, whether that's a global change or a local change for one business unit, we really need to be considering what the configuration is in their platform, ensuring that we understand, one, these changes will work for the
Hmm.
intended team, and two, there will be no downstream impacts on other teams and their configurations. Nobody wants to be the person that brings down the custom app that's critical to operations, and you certainly don't want to be the one that sends someone else's tickets into the ether with your
Hmm.
change. And I think on top of that, there is an opportunity when you are an enterprise organization where you really want to have this really strict development process, right? You want to make sure
Right.
that everything is stable and scalable and trainable. So most of my customers kind of mitigate these challenges by using several different sandboxes. So
Hmm.
they'll use one to develop, they'll use one to develop like standard out of the box things, right? Because with Zendesk, you can use out of the box features and functionalities for a ton of our solutions. Some
Hmm.
organizations want custom dev. They want bi-directional syncs and custom apps. So they'll use one sandbox, which is a mirror of production, to build. Then they'll take all of that they built and they'll move it over to a new team for QA.
Hmm.
Another mirror of production. Now we're rebuilding it in there, time
Right.
and effort. We've tested it. We've gone through user feedback. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're ready to send it to production. But before we go to production, we've got to train all of our agents. You can't just deploy a change and hope
Hmm.
that it fits and that they get it.
Wish for the best.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so with that comes a ton of time and effort and potential for human error, right? If you're taking one sandbox and then moving it into another manually,
Hmm.
you're inherently adding risk. Now, there's way more risk in just adding things in production. Let's just say that really clearly. If you're directly configuring in production or training in production, Godspeed.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Tara, I have a question for you though.
yeah,
Do you have customers that do that? So you don't have to name names, but do you have people that you work with that
absolutely
make
not.
changes directly in production? No. Okay, great.
No, no. And the reason, and I've seen it before. I've seen it before. I've spent a long time with my customers now that they no longer typically do that. Now I have a couple of use cases where they have, and I'll tell you about that. But typically when we do a big launch, they are going to do it in the sandbox first.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that someone's not going to go rogue or they think that something is so simple. And
Right.
it's way harder to go through all of the processes that are established for these enterprise businesses, right? Because you've got these business SOPs, but some people go rogue too. So I'm going to tell you a story about that in a second. But I guess I'll just wrap up my thought on the challenges they face with, scaling and customizing enterprise solutions appropriately and with stability. It is arduous, right?
Hmm.
It takes time, it takes effort, it takes human labor, and it's riskier, right? That's where I see Salto coming in and being important for my customers. It makes it more scalable, it makes the changes more accurate, and it just overall brings more simplicity to it.